Welcome back to Just Saying. Today's guest is living proof that sometimes the toughest battles give rise to the most powerful stories. My guest, T.L. McCoy, is an award-winning, best-selling author who wrote Delilah versus the Gastly Grimm, a fantasy adventure that doesn't shy away from disability but celebrates it as a source of strength. Inspired by her grandchild's journey with Gervais syndrome, she not only wrote a book but launched her own imprint company, Blue Round Book Group, to make sure that inclusive stories reach the shelves. We're talking about love, advocacy, and the magical way stories can heal. So let's dive in. Hey friends, I'm joined by T.L. McCoy, author of Delilah's versus the Gastly Grimm. Ooh. Welcome to the show. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you for having me.
I do appreciate it. We were off air and I was telling her how much I love the name of the title of her book. I can't talk, but that I love the title of her book, Delilah versus the Gastly Grimm. I just love that name. How'd you come up with the name?
So it was a process. I knew the name would have Delilah in it because that's the name of my grandchild, and I wrote the book for her. So I knew I wanted it to be Delilah versus, and I was trying to come up with the villain's name, and I had like a whole list. And so then I put it to family members, and then they were like, no, we like Grimm. And I was like, but Grimm isn't enough. It needs something a little extra in there. And then my husband's like, I feel like he's kind of ghastly. I was like, oh my gosh, that's it.
That's so
And so then
funny.
we put it together there, and then
It's
that
kind of like
became the
naming a
title.
baby. Isn't
Huh?
it like naming a child when you hear the name, you're like, oh, that's the name. Like,
So
you know what I'm saying?
Delilah was supposed to be, I thought about naming my daughter Delilah, and my daughter always said she wished that I had done it. We ended up naming her Jessie. It actually, my husband chose her name because I was allowed to pick my son's name, who was firstborn. So he was like, it's my turn. But I had thought about Delilah, and I said, but the thing is, like in the Bible, she's a little bit she's got a little bit of a strong character, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. And so then as she grew up, she's like, I wish you had given me that name. I'm going to give that name to my child when I have a child. And she ended up doing it. So that's how Delilah got her name.
I love the name. We always joke that my son was named by somebody at Red Lobster because my husband and I was pregnant. Like we could not think of a name, we wanted one that was jazzy, but maybe like masculine, but then also preppy kind of, cause like I'm a little preppy.
What's your son's name?
So we were at Red Lobster and we were just enjoying each other, and all of a sudden this little kid starts running down the aisle right in front of us, and the dad is like, Parker, get over here. And my husband looked at me and we looked at each other at the same time. We're like, that's it. And we both said it at the same time. And we both were like, that's the name, Parker. It just fell right into place and you knew it. And then he named our daughter, because I'm not sure where he got the name, but he named our daughter. We were looking for a P name and we couldn't settle on one. And then cause we wanted a Parker, and then the P is another name. And we ended up naming my daughter Piper. So
Love
Parker
it.
and Piper.
That's very nice.
Yeah, I totally got
names are important. I always feel like I kind of got gypped on my name because I don't usually share it on air, but my real name is Tammy and my middle name is Lynn. And if you've ever seen the movie Ted, have you seen the movie Ted?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about here. I was actually gonna do a video on this, like, thanks, Mark Wahlberg, for like ruining my name completely.
That's
It's
funny.
like what I think they said, what was it? The game of what's the most white trash name you could give somebody in the world? And apparently it's my name. So my adult children, when they saw that movie, they were like, ha 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 ha, mom, that's your name. I was like, don't announce it to everybody. So like,
I mean, my middle name makes me sound like a porn star, but
what's your middle
Jessica
name?
Dawn, like Jessica Dawn, like whatever. And in fact, you know how the little things when they go, add your middle name in this and your name you were born, like the street you were born on. I'm like Dawn Wildwood. Like, yeah, I'm like,
You're gonna find out that that's somebody's porn star name. That's great.
That's so funny. And I always say I was not born, but I was raised on a street that really, really does like engulf my personality in a wild wood. I mean, it was just crazy. But I mean, I got off on a tangent, but let's rewind a little bit. Let's go back to your story. And I want to, let's give me the backstory to how you decided to write a book about your grandchild, your grandbaby, right? And so give us a little bit of backstory on that.
Sure, yeah. So I actually, I've written more for myself over the years as a cathartic. It's been cathartic for me. You live a certain life and you experience certain things, and I found writing to be an outlet. And then I think my daughter came across some of my work when it was years ago too, and she read it and she's like, "Mom, you should be like trying to get some of this published," because she was some of it's true, and she was like, I didn't want her to know those things, but she said she felt like I could weave them into stories that would help others. So then I thought about that and I wanted to do that. And I was taking a class. My goal was to actually write a suspense thriller. And I'm a psych nurse by day. So there's
Okay.
there's a lot of experiences that I have gone through that I wanted to lend to that story, but I wanted to really make sure it was polished. So I was very interested in really polishing my skills. And I was taking this class and I came across this study that said only 3.4% of children's books had a disabled protagonist. And I have a grandchild with a syndrome called Gervais syndrome. Most people don't know what it is. It's not quite the same as epilepsy, but it's like epilepsy in the way that the children have seizures, but they're very severe seizures. Some of these
Hmm.
have seizures every day, multiple times a day. The seizures can be exceedingly long, 40, 50 minutes, an hour or longer. They can be very damaging.
Oh,
And
crazy.
yeah,
Oh, you
it's a serious issue, and it comes with a cascade of other issues too. There can be behavioral issues. Some of these kids can't walk, talk. They need lifelong care. It works like a spectrum, like autism is on a spectrum, that you have your high functioning kids and then you have your kids that need more care. So this is like that. It works like a spectrum. Delilah, we didn't know what to expect when we got the diagnosis. So I knew when she had her first seizure and they said they were going to do genetic testing. As a nurse, I had come across Gervais syndrome, and in the back of my mind, I literally said, "Oh, please don't let it be Gervais syndrome," because I was scared of that. I was scared of it. And then it came back as Gervais syndrome, and we were like, "We don't know what to expect. We don't know if she's going to be able to talk. We don't know if she's going to be able to walk." It was very scary. And so my husband and I moved close to my daughter to help with care because, she's going to need some care. She's going to need a lot of therapy. And so
can I ask
for
you,
since her
can I,
diagnosis, she
can
gets
I, can I, can I ask you a question real quick? Just sorry to ask, but did you say, I'm not sure if I caught that, but did you find out that she was going to have an issue like when she was in the womb, like in vitro or anything like that? No, you didn't know until she came. And did they figure something wasn't right, like right off the bat when she was born? Okay.
so others didn't notice it, but I wanna say within her first month, I saw something neurological was going on, but then again, I'm a nurse.
Right, right,
So
right.
I went to my daughter and told her, "I see some neurological symptoms here. I think you should take her in and get checked."
You are a great grandma. Let me just say,
Well
my God.
well,
Because you know
part of
what?
it is training, you know? Well, she was having
Well, I mean, I have a sister who's a nurse and I have a mother who's a nurse and my mother-in-law is a nurse. But I'm just saying, like, they wouldn't have known. Like, my daughter has cerebral palsy. Well, she was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at 2.5. However, we found out recently that she has what's called 16p. It's a chromosomal
Yeah, and, I
number,
was not familiar with that. That's not all
right?
that's rare.
Right. It's 16p.11.2 with duplication is how you describe it. When you look it up, that's what it says. And, so, but nobody would have been, her chromosomes test came back negative when she was a baby, like she was perfect. And then just recently, my doctor's like, you know what? The testing has gotten better since then. So let's just test her just for kicks and giggles, just to see. And yeah, she came back with the chromosomal So they said that the cerebral palsy might be from this 16p and not cerebral palsy. It could just be, I don't know. It's so weird. because
So, are there
the
any
MRI came
genetic
back.
treatments?
No, I don't think so. So the MRI came back as cerebral palsy when she was 2.5 is how it was diagnosed through an MRI. And so this now I'm getting told like a totally kind of contradicting kind of thing that it may not have been cerebral palsy. It might have just been this 16p that she had. So I don't know. Like it's so, but so my daughter doesn't chew food and she doesn't speak very good and she can't grip very hard. And there's a lot of things that she can't do that kind of line up with cerebral palsy. So then anyways, I'm going off on a tangent on my daughter, but it's just weird that like I didn't know until 2.5 that she had cerebral palsy. And then I didn't know until she was 15 that she had this other thing. So you guys have an advantage is what I was trying to get through that you had the wherewithal to, kind of say there's something not right here and kind of go from the very get go. I'm sure you guys, once she had her first seizure, obviously there would have been something, but I'm just saying that with your expertise, I mean, it was invaluable that you
They
started
didn't
so
think
young.
they didn't think anything was wrong. So when I had my daughter take her in, they were like, "No, I mean, we see what your mom is saying because her eye twitches, but that could just go away by itself. We don't think there's a problem." So they didn't
Doctors
think there
say
was a
that all the
problem.
time. I'm just saying. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
it is true. They did the same thing with
Ugh.
my son. So I would take my son in, and I can be a little bit difficult. I'm just a little bit. So I used to take my son in and I would be like, "No, I can tell something's I can't pinpoint what it is, but I know something's going on here." And the doctor would be like, "No, no, it's
Yes.
you're just like
Like
basically
mommies
too much
no,
of a
dude.
mom."
Mommies no. Mommies
Yeah.
no. I'm just saying.
No,
I'm just
send me away. But then I got a new doctor one time, like, he was just filling in, and he goes, "No, I see what you're saying. I'm gonna send him to the specialist," and we found out that he was partially deaf, and they needed to go in and do surgery in his ear, and then once they did the surgery, it was, like, so much changed quickly because then he could actually hear right, or I mean,
poor
he's still
thing.
partially deaf, but he could hear a lot better once they went in and did the surgery. And it was
Oh,
like it was a big change, and that's why I always say to parents, like, who might be feeling like, "I know something's wrong, my doctor's not hearing me," advocate. Advocate. That's your job as a parent, advocate for your kid, you just don't know, and it's like you said with the testing too. Right now, they have diagnosed her with Gervais syndrome, but part of me thinks, I don't know if that's the right diagnosis, but that's the diagnosis they gave her. They did find that she has a mutation in her SCN1A gene, which is that's part of that diagnosis. Like you have to have that to have that diagnosis. But we're learning new things every day, so and testing gets better every day. So you
you know
never
what?
know if what's going to change in the future, kind of like with you.
Yeah, you know what I did? You talk about advocating, and sometimes moms out there bring a friend. I brought my mom. I made my mom come to the doctor's appointment with me because I had been going, because at the time I was going to Kaiser. And I kept, now my husband works at Adventist, so I have Adventist insurance. But at the time we were going to Kaiser, and the doctor, I kept saying, because, I have a degree in child development, and I was like, she's not meeting her milestones, and I know it. And she's not doing the things she's supposed to be doing, and I know it. She should be doing all these other things, and she's not even talking. She's not doing, she's 2.5, and she says like one word. She wasn't putting two words together, three words together. She had a good vocabulary. She just couldn't put them all together. And finally, my mom walks in. We were arm on arm, and we're like, "You better order an MRI or something. You better do something." And so he goes, "Okay." And then sure as shit came back and it said she was microcephalic, said that she was, because her head is kind of skinny and it's long.
Okay.
So she was microcephalic, not totally, but like, I guess she had a little bit of that. And then she had the myelination was, or whatever it said it, but then it said in line with cerebral palsy. So I was like, all right, I'll take that, I guess. And so then, get her all the things in the speech and all the things that you can do at the time. But I mean, had I known earlier, maybe we could have had her in therapy earlier and been able to maybe, you know what I'm
And
saying?
that's why it's so important. So that's what people don't realize. Like, yeah, part of you, parts of you don't want the diagnosis. But
Right.
then when you have the diagnosis, you can use it as a tool to get things that the child needs, like the
Right.
therapies. Like Delilah goes to speech and physical therapy, and every once in a while, occupational therapy. They actually drop that down. But like that diagnosis is what allows you to get those things under insurance. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
'cause
then
these are
also
expensive
you
things.
can file for Social Security for them, but I did, and we didn't get it because we made too much money, but they wouldn't give it to her. But I thought, well, maybe they could put something in an account so that when she gets older, because I didn't know like how severe this. I didn't know, and so, but nope, they wouldn't give her Social Security. So,
Yeah,
but
I think my daughter's in the same boat as that too.
yeah,
So it is important that you advocate. And but she was that was what happened. I came across a study and I found out, they don't write a lot of books for kids with disabilities. And so
yeah,
for me, I was like, how dare they? Like how dare they not release all those books? My grandchild deserves to have and so my
right
husband was
on.
like, stop with the, just go write some of these.
Just
I
not.
don't want to hear you. Go in the room and write something for her.
That's
So
funny.
that's what sparked me to write Delilah versus the Ghastly Grimm is that there just wasn't a lot on the market for kids with disabilities.
Yeah, that's sad.
All for her. I always say it's her book, not mine.
Right? That's funny. Um, so that's, I mean, I'm so like, I'm like not asking you any questions because I was just so like, I can so relate to like what we're talking about. I feel like we're like kindred spirits. Okay. Let me get back to you though. Um, we already covered a lot that I was already going to ask you. This is great. I'm
I
like,
messed up your whole schedule. I have
I
that habit.
did. It's okay because I love it though. I try to like not make it seem like I have questions in advance, like I'm just asking you, but no, really, these are questions I have written down. So anyways, okay, here's one. So yeah, a lot of books they do shy away from. Why do you think that is? And I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because is it that, preschoolers shouldn't be subjected to that? Or, I made my daughter like, not made, but when she asked me to have a wheelchair for her Barbies, I'm like, yes, one with
They
crutches,
have
you
those
know?
out now. They have all good. I
Right.
saw a Barbie with a prosthetic leg the other day and I was like, "Go, Mattel or whoever's making this
Sure.
Barbie now."
Freaking,
Yeah,
a
I
fake
thought
leg.
it was
Uh,
awesome. Yeah, that's great. So why do we not see enough books out there with
you think that
so
it's just
first,
too
Delilah
hard to
versus the
explain
Ghastly
or?
Grimm is not for young kids. It's middle grade book.
Okay.
My grandchild is not ready to read that book. She knows the book was written for her, but she hasn't read it. It's too dark for her. Because the child has a life-threatening seizure in the book, which opens an indigo door in her mind, and then she's catapulted into this world where she has to go on this quest and face dangers, and there are monsters. Wouldn't be appropriate for her age. Right now she's 4. But I knew I
Okay.
wanted to do it that way rather than like just like a picture book because that's probably more like where she's at right now. Because I wanted it to have a storyline, so something that she could grow into. Why there isn't a lot on the market, in my opinion, there's a very specific reason. One, what they put on the market is based on profit maximization. How are they going to make the most money? And I think there's a problem with not necessarily the storylines. Yeah, I guess sometimes the storylines. So sometimes what we're seeing is the books that are put out there that have disabled protagonists, they try to fix the person who has the disability. You know what I mean? So at the end of the story, yay, they're cured.
King.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it.
You know what I mean? Like, it's very annoying because like this, if you have a genetic disorder, this is something you're gonna be living with. They're not gonna unless, maybe in the future, one day with the genetic stuff, they'll be able to do that. Right now, I know they're doing the problems with the vectors. That's not gonna be a thing for I don't know if it'll be ever a thing for her lifetime. Um, so that's
If
one of
you're
the
if you
problems.
hold
I
on,
don't think that empowers.
if you're a QAnon like my sister, cuckoo. Hopefully she doesn't listen to this, but she'll say that they're gonna be able to go into a med bed. I can't even say it out loud. And she thinks that we're gonna go into a med bed and everything's gonna get cured. I think she probably got it from that Elysium movie or something. I don't know. But there are people out there that believe that the government has these, I don't know, alien beds or something that they can put you in and fix you. Did you
Well,
know people
I
are out
did
there
read
that
a
like
study. I
that?
will say this, I did read a study that they have come across a frequency that can break up 99% of a cancer cell. I read that study, like, I don't know, I wanna say I read
Now
that
that I
study,
can
like
believe. No, I can believe a frequency or some sort of like something that could break apart. I mean, that sounds more logical than like you're gonna lose 30 years when you go in this med bed. It'll make you younger. It'll make
you
your
better
teeth
fix
better.
this quick.
I'm
The
like,
age is showing.
hello. I don't know
You
DL1P
just,
thing.
like, type it in, I'd like a little nip here and a little tuck there. Thank you very much.
I'm starting to get
Here's
lines.
my
Come on
card.
now.
I would
I'm
love it. I would love it.
I'm
I mean,
sorry. I
they are
totally.
working on a cure for Gervais syndrome. They are working on a cure and they're making quite a lot of progress. But the problem was, I guess, the size of the vectors because it's genetic. So they, in order to get the genes to the right place, especially with the blood-brain barrier, it's complex. So right now, they're just not there yet. They're just not
So
there.
how would
Who
that
knows
be? Would
when
that
they'll
be
get
in
there?
vitro, or would that be something they can? I mean, after you're born, and they can try to fix it, or is this something they try to do
No,
when
they're
they're?
working on kids after they're born now. So they have studies going on right now that they're treating these
Interesting.
kids and they're finding some pretty decent success. I will say, like, the medication that Delilah's on has been wonderful. Like, she's been seizure free for over a year now, which is extremely hard to do. So, but we
Wow.
have to take precautions. Heat seems to be something that matters. The amount of sleep that she has. My daughter's very strict about her sleep schedule. And we, like, if she's out in the heat, we'll do like cooling vests and bring water bottles and the sprays and stuff like that to make sure we're keeping her cool because that seems to be an issue. So we take
Was she going
precautions
to
for her.
school? Was she going to be homeschooled? Do you think, or is she going to go to school?
She'll go to regular school. So right now, they just did a test on her, and I was actually floored because she's ahead. She's ahead, but the only thing that I will say she's behind on is articulation. Most and I kind of felt mad the other day because I went to a restaurant, and I won't say which restaurant, and she likes to order for herself. And the waiter actually said, "Can you even understand what she's saying?" I was like, "Oh, sir, like, ooh." You need to you need to walk away.
Now
Like,
my daughter
think what
has
you're
like,
saying here. She's
yeah,
4 years
my
old and she can't speak right.
my daughter leaves off the beginning and the end of her words, so nobody really can understand her. And so, but generally, I mean, if she's talking about, a girl, if she doesn't eat food either, by the way, she just eats soft things. So it's going to be mashed potatoes or ice cream at a restaurant. And, but yeah, that happens a lot. And then I just go, oh, she just wants this. Like, or just a milkshake or just whatever, like, and they look at me like I'm feeding my kid junk food, but I'm like, dude, that's the only thing she'll eat. And there's
Yeah.
nothing I can do about it. Like, I give her protein.
He
I give,
didn't know, but
right.
still you could see her face kinda drop on that, and I was
Mm.
like, "Oh, I don't like to see that," and she's gonna experience that in life, so we're trying to empower her and make her,
Well, one thing you can do at school is they can give you a device. It's like they have these devices for kids that you can't understand them. And it could be as big as a phone. And if she's already on a phone right now on your phone playing games or doing something, she probably have a little bit of, experience holding the phone. But my daughter has that. It's a little pad. Well, she has an iPad, but, and she also has a little one that's like a mobile one. And and I also, she has a phone at home. So whenever I can't understand her, she types it for me and shows it to me, like in a text message. She goes, see, that's what I'm talking about. I was like, okay.
and
Um,
so there's always a way to
yeah,
bridge that gap there. Like, her
yeah.
vocabulary's where it's at. She does walk differently than others. She goes to daycare, and they call it the Delilah walk, because it's very unique. It's a
Hmm.
very unique walk, but I feel like it just looks confident. Like, she's just like, I was like, she
I
looks
love it.
confident to me. She's
She's
stressed.
got some swagger. Okay, can I ask you a question about your I can't even say the word protagonist. Okay,
Yeah.
so how have you had any like responses from the readers, especially like the kids or the age group that you're gearing for, like reacting to the heroine, where her strength
Overwhelmingly
actually comes from her?
positive.
Yeah.
Overwhelmingly positive, yeah. I haven't had anybody come back and say that they didn't like the book. I was actually surprised to find that adults have read their books, like, with their kids, and they're like, "The book mattered to me too," or,
Aw,
"My child wasn't willing to read." Then they saw so it's a unique cover. It's kinda like what you said, it's a little bit dark, so this is the cover of the book.
I
But
love it.
yeah, and so, like, I had one person say, like, their child wouldn't read, and then came this was on the counter, and I was gonna do a podcast with her, and he's like, "What's that?" And that's how she got him to read because of the cover, and then she said that, he loved the book, and the parents are saying that they are connecting with the characters in the book because really underneath the storyline, it's about feeling different than others and sometimes isolated, and how sometimes your difference, even though others might mark it as a weakness, it actually can become your greatest strength. So that's what I when I went in writing when I went into writing the book, my mindset was, how can I take what other people view as a weakness and turn it around and make it her greatest strength? And that was one of my goals in writing the book.
I'm gonna buy this book for my daughter because I think she'll probably see a lot of herself in your words for I mean, the thing is my daughter likes to read, but sometimes she just likes to stick with her one she has this one book, she just doesn't stop reading. I told you last time, it's Holes, it's called Holes.
Holes is amazing. I can see
Great.
why she likes I would reread Holes.
I
You
think
know,
she's reread it like 3 times.
I used to teach kids with behavioral problems and, like and I'm talking like these these kids would, like, stab each other with pencils, and I would pull out Holes and the class would just settle down. I don't know what it is about that book, but they loved it.
Yeah, and the movie too, but I mean, my daughter, she'd rather read the book than watch the movie. So but I think they watched the movie in class a few times because they know Piper likes the whole
Oh, that's
likes
great.
Holes, so
Shia
they're like,
LaBeouf.
"Well, huh?"
Yes, Shia LaBeouf
I
is
know.
in that
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, he was a little cutie in that movie too. He's a little kid. Um, so I was gonna ask you a question. Okay, so you didn't just stop at one book, right? Like you launched your own imprint. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah, so and I'm not opposed to, traditional means. Traditional means takes a lot longer. You lose control. I don't think they market like they used to for new writers that come on. I think you gotta do a lot of it yourself anyway, so and they take the lion's share. So I was like, I feel like for now, that was the route that was most appropriate for me. Plus, I really wanted to get the book out there for the kids.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do in the future, I'm not so sure. I Launching the imprint was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. It's so marketing, I hate marketing.
I mean, that's
I
what we're doing right
realized
now.
I really dislike it.
That's what we're doing right now. I mean, I'm marketing your book, but we'll also talk about my life and my book all the time. So I always intertwine because I wrote a memoir, which you should do because you have got a life of stories. And just like your husband said, just go in there and write it. It'll help you too. Like at the end of the book, you'll be like, oh my gosh, you learn so much from writing your own story. It's crazy. And my next book will be a romance novel that I'm actually on chapter 7. And it's about a steamy ER nurse, or no, excuse me, an ER nurse and a steamy fire chief. So it's really good. It's
I'm
really adult.
excited. But what is the you told me the name of your book and I love the title. So what was
Ignite
the name of
me.
your book?
It's well, my other book, my memoirs, Bucket List from a Redneck Girl.
Love it. Love it. It's hilarious. The title alone makes me wanna read it.
Yeah, basically, and I think there are some people though that will read redneck and think that it's like pitchforks and like tiki torches and stuff, but it's not like that, not at all. I come from a small farming town, like we're like it's farming redneck because you're out in the heat all day, but nothing like that. like
Well,
I
I
don't know. I've
married a
had
Mississippi boy, so I
okay,
have I
so redneck,
have
right?
a true redneck in my house.
It's funny because I come from Northern California and people don't think they're like redneck. You're from California, like isn't that like sunshine and beaches? And I'm like, not where I was from.
The beach girl, yeah.
Like I'm Northern California and I'm inland. There ain't no beach where I'm at. But all of California, there's so much farming, like between where I'm at now and Bakersfield, which is the middle, all the way up. There's just all farming everywhere you go. So, um, lots of farm. So I totally got off on a total tangent, but I was curious. I really like
So
the
now
fact
you
that
were talking about you're presently writing a romance
oh,
novel
yeah,
with the
steamy.
nurse and the
It is
steamy fire
it's
guy.
I was, like, looking around when I was reading it, I couldn't believe what I wrote, and I was like, "That is good," but I don't know I don't know if
Do you
anybody
read
else
it to your
eh,
husband and your husband's like, "Put
I
that
would
book
never
away."
read it to him. Not the part I just wrote, oh my lord. I can't believe because I wanted it to be a little raunchy, but not, like, too explicit because nobody really wants to know about, someone's shaft or something like that, you know what I mean? That's that word and moist. I mean, some of these words are just gross. I would never use those words, but I'm just saying, like, I use words, but I didn't explain it like that is what I'm trying to say, is that it's a descriptive, but it's not
50 Shades of
porn.
Grey descriptive?
I would say it's 49 shades of gray. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the first two, and then I'm going to do like what you did. But I'm not going to do. I'm just going to try to do it. I mean, I don't know. Do you have to do like create your own type of like? Because you have like a business, or you have like you did something with your imprint,
It
right?
is super easy to do your own
Okay,
imprint. It is extremely easy. You basically just file paperwork, and then what I did is I made a plan, like, what's my marketing plan going to be? Am I going to submit to awards? What awards am I going to submit to? What kind of people am I going to have on board to help spread the word about the book? But I think that the hard part is when you go with traditional means, they have whole departments to do everything from design to cover to marketing, everything. And when you do your own imprint, you're doing it all on your own. I didn't even know there was a difference between who does the like a book designer and a book illustrator. They're two different things. Like just choosing a
yeah,
font.
because the inside, even the spacing of the words
Yep.
and the size of the font and the colors and the everything. There's like a whole thing
And that's
that
one of the issues with people who self-publish is that they don't do their homework on that. So when you pick up a self-published book, you could tell it's a self-published book because they're not doing the homework on that, like what is the standard like for the big 5 publishers kind of thing.
right. Yeah, that's true. So when I go to do mine, I'm going to try to do it on my own, but I will definitely,
Text me.
yes, we'll have to like, I mean, I really good at self editing, and I did on my book. I did such a good job that when I found that because I did a hybrid publishing kind of thing where you do pay a little bit, but then they do all the rest. But yeah, they take all the profit. So
No, you
I'm
don't
not
need to
going
do
to.
that. It's very simple, very simple. You just file some paperwork and then it's under your name and then it's you give your company a title and
You did
it's
Blue
it's a
Round Book Group is what you're called, Blue Round Book
yeah,
Group,
and that's just I did the same thing with that as I did with my name. I basically came up with a list, and it was actually the one I thought nobody would choose, but it's actually in the book, and everybody chose it, and I was like, "Huh, you know what? I wouldn't have picked that one, but okay, like everybody seems to be on the same page. They like that one, so we're gonna go with it." I think that's brilliant because you want it to yeah, it'll stay in people's minds. I think that's actually smart, and I 100% think you should go the route where you're doing it yourself. I will say, like, when you're if you're choosing to do your own imprint, it's a good idea to have another set of eyes on it because we as writers fill in the gaps and
right?
miss our own mistakes. So,
Yeah,
like, this book was edited by 2 professional editors. One was a literary agent and award-winning writer, and the other one was the editor of The Hunger Games. She edited this. Yeah, she edited this book. So I knew when I said, If I'm gonna put this book out, I wanna do it right." And the whole, like, design of the book, I spent weeks just researching like what's the most appropriate for this particular genre. What about kids who might have trouble with eyesight? I wanted to
right.
take all the factors into account when I made the decision. Now it's the if you look at the size of the print, it's slightly larger, and that's for kids who might have a disability so that they could read it. So that was a purposeful choice. But then there's also like when you're doing your own company, you have to also think of money because when you do something like make the font slightly bigger, that means more pages. It costs you
Pages.
more.
Mhm.
So you have to take all factors into account.
So, I mean, the book hasn't really like well, your daughter doesn't really know about the book too much, right? But she knows about the book, but not like never read it or anything. Have you read her any stories or
So my daughter, knows about the book.
oh
She's
your
read the
daughter? I
book.
meant your granddaughter. Did I say daughter?
Yeah. My daughter
Sorry.
actually, I made her read the book because I wanted her not made, but I, like, asked her to read the book
No,
because
you
I wanted
made
her to
because
be
as far as
okay with it.
family, I no, you made because like my family, I asked my sister, "Have you read my book yet?" She's like, "No." And the only person I know read my book was my mom. I know my other sister, my brother has not. But you know what? I don't have a great relationship with them anyways.
You know
And I had
what?
to make
I
my
will say
husband read it.
my sisters read the book. My sisters read the book. My daughter read it. I had my daughter read it before I even sent it to editors because I have her having seizures in it, and I didn't wanna put it out there and her be upset. And so
Right.
she did say, "I can't read it again because it makes me sad." You know, like,
Aw.
it makes her think of the struggles because like, it was a very traumatic seeing Delilah have those seizures, and it kinda gives her she's got flashbacks kinda thing. So, she doesn't want to experience that, have that she doesn't want to experience the flashback. So, she said
Yeah.
she loved the book, but she doesn't really want to, like, think about those difficult times because right now Delilah's doing so good, but she supports the effort in the book, and Delilah is super excited about it. So when the book finally got published and I had my first copy and it's a copy for me to edit, my daughter showed her I have these promo videos. She showed her a promo video of it, and she said, "Nana's got the book. It came in. She's got it at her house." And Delilah walked in my door the next morning, and I thought my daughter told her to do this, but she didn't. She walked in the door, and I hear, "Nana, show it to me." That's what she said. And I said, "Did you tell her to do that?" And she said, "Nope." And then she had the book, and she was hugging it, and she, like, walked around with it, and she wanted to sleep with it for a few nights, and, like, it was like a whole thing, even though she couldn't read it. But I read to her other books. Like, we read other books. And
Do
she
you
knows
think
this
that
is her because when she sees it, like, it's at my house, she'll come and she'll be like, "That's me." And I was like, "Yes, it is." Even the streak in the hair, Delilah was born with a white streak in her hair. She has
really?
really, really long hair, and she has this white streak in her hair, so I even added that. I wanted to make sure that was on the cover too.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's so sweet. Do you think that like her knowing that you wrote a book about it, like, like the way I mean, you explained the book to her so she knows what it's about. Do you think that like helps her like deal with her own condition or like does that make sense of what I'm trying to ask? I'm just I'm trying to think that like I mean, I don't know. There's like a certain bit of pride you would think that goes with it and like, yeah, I am a superhero. Like, what is that? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't know.
So she does kinda she does so she'll I think it was not the book itself, but the promo video has it where Delilah it shows Delilah with her powers in the promo video. And so she, like, looks at her eyes got really wide, and she looks at me, and she's like and I said, "Yeah, those are you that's you with the powers." And she's like, "I got pow those are my powers." And then she was, like, talking about, like, she's got powers. Like, does she
See?
understand what she has? I don't think so. I don't think she really understands. She's 4. I
Right.
think she does recognize that she is different sometimes, like, you can see it in moments where she picks up that she's a little different than kids, and I will see other kids sometimes I will say other kids are a little bit mean to her. She's very, very friendly, and they're not for that.
Okay, so let me
They're
just
like, "Hey,
say
kid, you're too much."
I when my daughter started to go into like a normal regular school because she in preschool she went to a school for special needs children and so when she got into like kindergarten and first grade or whatever kids would like make her do things and then she would get in trouble because they would make her do something and because she's so sweet and she like okay I'll do that like she's
Just wanted friends.
when I'm telling you my daughter is super sweet, I'm like, I'm serious. Like she cries if she thinks she's made me mad, and she's like,
Oh
Mommy,
my
I'm so
goodness.
sorry. And I'm like, or she'll go, huh? And she'll right now at her age, she'll huff and puff, go to her room, and then come out. And she'll go, Mom, I'm so sorry about my attitude. I was like, oh yeah, what attitude?
Oh
I
my
didn't even know you
goodness, I
had.
think every parent would be so lucky.
I mean, it's insane. But anyways, these kids used to make her do things, then the principal was going to call me, and he did call me, but he said before I called you, I looked on the footage because they have cameras everywhere, and he goes, and I saw what the kids made her do, and he goes, it's not her fault, but I wanted to let you know that they're gonna the other, well, I'll be handling this, but Piper's okay, she's not in trouble, but she feels like she is. So
Oh, bless her
she feels
heart.
like she's in trouble, but she wasn't. And that happened a few different times until the kids got word that like you don't do that. And then when she got into like later, everybody loved her. Like, I mean, everyone loved her when she was younger, but even when she
Oh,
went into
she's
like
so
middle school,
sweet.
kind of, I would show up to school and these girls were waiting for her to get out of the car and they're like, Piper's here, yay. And they're behind the
Oh,
gate and they're like waiting for her and she would show up and they would engulf her. And she just had like, was just, I mean, it was so sweet. And I was so lucky that that was her experiences. You know what I mean? Because it could have not gone that way. Be-
I will say it sounds very similar to Delilah. I mean, you're right about us being kids, but it very much sounds similar. Like at her daycare, there's a boy, I guess, that cries a lot. And when her other grandmother was down, she didn't go to daycare, like, because they wanted to spend every minute with her. And then, I have a job. So they spent every minute with her and she didn't go to daycare, and they said the boy would cry. It's usually Delilah that soothes him, so it was hard on the staff when Delilah was out because whenever she's there, she's like, "It's okay, I'm here,"
right.
and he'll stop crying, but when she's not there, he'll cry. So, like, because she's very sweet little girl, very sweet
And
and
you know what? The funny thing is not funny thing, but I mean, like with your grandchild and my daughter, they are so accepting of other people that have disabilities too. And they do have such a big heart. Like my daughter would be the only one this little girl was in a wheelchair in her preschool. She would do her hardest to push her around the yard.
Oh,
There was like this track and these other kids were on tricycles and Piper was pushing her around the circle. You know what I mean? And
that's sweet.
yeah, they just have an open heart for other children that also, struggle with other things and they don't look at it like it's anything. They're just normal people. And which they are, but not society doesn't look at children with special needs as normal, but when you have special needs, everybody's normal to you. So,
And I think that's true with human nature anyway. The kind of experiences that you have help you develop empathy towards others who may go through something like it or similar, something similar or exactly like it. So I think that's true of people. Like if you've lived a hard life, you sometimes develop more empathy for those who live a hard life. Whereas if you live this very like spoon fed life, you're like, you don't understand what it's like, so you don't develop the empathy for it. So I think kids who grow up with special needs develop a tremendous amount of empathy, and maybe that's why they're so incredibly sweet.
yeah, I think we're lucky. I just put it that way.
She's a light. He is a light, that kid. I'm sure yours is
What?
too.
Yeah, although sometimes they do weird things and you're like, "What the frick are you thinking?" Like the other day, I'm gonna say this because this is gonna make my daughter not sound so sweet. But they were running and my daughter they were running in track or something and the teacher was I guess I don't know, it wasn't making fun of her, was making her upset for some reason. And Piper said she nudged her as she ran by. And then but she started when she was telling me she started to break down and cry and I go, "Why are you crying?" She goes, "Are you mad at me?" And I'm like, disappointed. And she started to really cry. And I go, but I still love you. I'm not she was, okay. Like she was like, I don't know. It was weird. She just started crying, like 'cause she knew what she did was not nice, and so it's not in her nature not to be a nice person. And so when she did something kind of mean, it really like affected her, and she came home and just broke down. The first thing she said was like, "I pushed somebody today." I was like,
She told on herself.
yes, she does all the time.
Delilah would be like, "I didn't do that."
No, Piper is a truth teller, dude. She's crazy. Okay, so let
Uh-uh.
me ask you one more question here.
Okay.
Okay, um, what one message you would want parents, teachers, and caregivers listening today to take away and to have as a takeaway for your book, or like how would you pitch it to like give me an elevator pitch for teachers and caregivers and parents about your book and why is it important for kids to read?
Yeah, and I think that is a very common question that like why would that you choose this book when there's a million other books out there? Well, one, there aren't enough books that have kids with the protagonist that have special needs. And the reason why that's important is because you want to let these kids know that they are capable of doing things. And I feel like a lot of the times when they see it always being a certain kind of character, then and they see that they are not quite like that character, they don't feel like they can do those things. And I want to show that we can empower kids. It's not just for kids with disability, it's for all kids. The underlining theme of the story is if you've ever felt different or isolated and alone. And I feel like nearly everybody on the planet at some point or another has felt that. Me too. Me too. So if you've ever felt that way, it's about saying it's okay. You can feel that way. And you can basically, what you need to do is figure out, like, where's your place? And then in this storyline, we help her find her place. Like, everybody can take like things that others may not agree with about them, like, or a weakness, people are labeling it as a weakness, and say, like, this doesn't have to be this. That's somebody putting a label on something. You don't have to follow their labels. You can make
Right.
your choices, and you can empower people through these stories. And the whole point of this particular story is about taking kids who have ever experienced feeling different, giving them empowerment through a really super fun action adventure quest in a fantasy world, because that's what it is. It's a super fun action adventure. I wrote it like sort of like Percy Jackson meets Harry Potter, got some magical elements in there,
Percy Jackson.
educating about things like seizures. So it's not like and I think that's a problem with a lot of the books that are like for kids with special needs, is that they're too educational. I'm for education. I was an educator. I was a school director. But I think that's a problem with it, is they're so educational. The kids are like, I'm not going to read that. So I
Right.
wanted it to be fun.
Not if I have to write an essay about it.
So yeah, it's fun.
Mice
It
and men of
empowers
mice and
kids.
men. Everybody had to read that. I'm sorry.
Since there's so many elements, I wrote a whole curriculum. If you go to my website, there's like games and stuff on there. It's actually, they have it in a school in Indiana, and I wrote like a whole curriculum of things you can do with the book, and I could put that online actually. So there's a lot that can be done with the book. It's going to be on the epilepsy unit of Boston Children's Hospital. So it's because I said it to the lead doctor over there, and he's like, "Yeah, I see what you're like. This will be good for the kids." So it's
Right.
meant to educate, empower, and yet entertain. Kids will like it.
Right. I love that. What's next for you? I mean, are you going to write a sequel? Are you going to write like a
Will,
volume?
but I will, but I already wrote the adult. So I was writing the adult thriller when I came across a study, put the adult thriller aside and wrote this book. I finished writing the adult thriller. I'm on editing it now. So I'm about 10 chapters into the edit. The editing phase for me is the longest phase. I basically gotta like the first writing is like that's all my like thoughts. And then editing is a real cleanup
Yeah.
time process.
Autocrit. Okay, just so you know, I tell people this all the time. I use Autocrit, AUTOCRIT, and you upload it in, and it'll tell you how many times you've used a word. Not, and
Oh.
it'll say, "Don't use this word. You've used it 65 times. Use it. Take out 35." And it'll tell you what to use in place of it, and it gives you substitute stuff, and it's in line with Grammarly. You should always have Grammarly like premium when you're doing that, and then
I use
Autocrit.
Grammarly.
Yeah, and Autocrit. It's really, really, really helped me. In fact, when I gave my book to, I did Christian Faith Publishing with my publisher. When I gave it to them, they're like, "Dang, this is written really good," and they're like, "Okay, we can do this." And I only had like one revision, because I guess a lot of times I'd use the wrong dash and some other things, like really simple things. And yeah. So, anyways, Autocrit. Can I ask you a question? Where now is your book on Amazon, or where can people find your book?
It's on both Amazon and Ingram. I'm going to put it on Barnes. I think I was having problems with the upload and then never went back and finished doing that. And so I will do that probably event someday. And then I'm working on an audiobook because I really want to make sure that, if kids can't read it, they'll at least be able to hear it. So I'll tell you, that was taking longer. Like I start to do it and then I'm pulled in 1,000 different directions and I never seem to go back and get it done. So that is a plan though for me to get it on audio as well.
I have a friend that does voiceovers. I think she might do it. She might do it. Her name is, well, I don't know what her last name is anymore because I went to high school. I knew Dee Dee Sterneman was her name, but I don't forget what her maiden name or her married name is. But I could reach out to her. She's really good. But
Ooh, I would love to, like, they would take some of that off me. It's hard because, like you, I have a full-time job, and my job is a very stressful job.
yeah,
It's high
I
stress,
mean,
but it's also a very good job. I will say that.
um, so just so you know, someone was telling me, oh, it was an indie, somebody that helps people like you kind of did all the legwork. There's a company out there that actually helps you do it. Anyways, I was talking to her and she said that, most people are, if you're not doing, audiobooks, you're missing out because more people will order your audio than they will anything else. And in my world, if people order my audio, I actually make more money, or the ebook. I make more money when they do that. So, but I just want to say thank you so much. Do you have a website that they can go to?
www.blueroundbookgroup.com. And on that website, if you go to the book section, it'll have the link to the Amazon site where you can buy it. It's also available on Ingram Sparks. Most booksellers or teachers, librarians, they use Ingram rather than Amazon. They don't usually order through Amazon
So
for
it's
some reason.
Blue Round Book
Group. Yes,
Group.com. Blue Round Book.
it's a mouthful.
You can't remember that because you're jogging or you're on the treadmill. What you can do is you can also go to my website. It's www, which I don't know why you say that because everybody knows there's W's in front of it, but it's jessaying.net, JESSSAYING.net. And then you go to podcast, you scroll down to this episode and you click on, well, I'm not going to say her name, but TL McCoy. Name because we don't want to
Name that Mark Wahlberg ruined.
and you click on her name or the TL McCoy and then you click on it, it'll take you to her website and then you can go and find out where to find her book and all the things. And so I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It was fun.
It was super fun. We definitely have to chat even after all this.
Yes, for sure. Okay, well, we're gonna leave it here, and I just want to say thank you everybody for listening, and remember, stay positive and be good to one another. We only have this one life, and so walk in the positive and be good to one another. Anyways, everyone, take care.
Low, talking about the days we used to know. VCR tapes and dial-up tones, raising kids living with achy bones. Leather jackets and big hair days, now it's carpool lines and PTA. Neon dreams turn into schoolyard fights, but our hearts glow in retro nights. We are Gen X, living both worlds. From cassette tapes to a digital world. Parenting now with a nod to the past. The retro love we know will last. We are Gen X, living both worlds. From cassette tapes to a digital world. Now with a nod to the past, the retro love we know will last. We dance to the beats of the boombox sound. Now bedtime stories echo all around. But deep inside we're the mixtape kings, still fighting life with arcade dreams. slice, telling tales with a side of advice, laughing at the